I've always believed that our environment shapes our experiences, and after years of struggling with clutter and chaos, I've discovered that implementing a few simple minimalist rules can transform not just our living spaces, but our entire outlook on life. Today, I want to share 10 game changing rules that have helped me create more space for joy, peace, and intentional living in my life. My journey from chaos to clarity. For most of my life, I wore the badge of messy and disorganized, like it was an unchangeable personality trait. I convinced myself that some people were just naturally organized, and others, like me, were destined to live in chaos. But everything changed when I became a mother. Parenthood has a way of magnifying every aspect of our lives, doesn't it? The clutter that seemed manageable before suddenly became overwhelming. I found myself constantly stepping on toys, drowning in laundry, and feeling like I could never catch up. That's when I realized something had to change. The tipping point came when I noticed how my cluttered environment was literally stealing joy from precious moments with my little one. Instead of being present and enjoying our time together, I was constantly distracted by the mess around us. That's when I discovered minimalism, not as a trendy lifestyle choice, but as a solution to my desperate need for more space. Not just physical space, but mental and emotional space too. Let me share the 10 rules that have transformed my life, and might just change yours too. Number 1. The Sacred Space Rule. This rule emerged from my realization that not all spaces in our homes need to serve multiple purposes. The Sacred Space Rule states that certain areas should be designated for single, specific purposes and kept clear of everything else. For me, this started with our dining table. I noticed that when it became a dumping ground for mail, school papers, and random items, we stopped eating meals together as a family. By declaring the dining table a sacred space, only for sharing meals and conversation, we not only gained back our family dinner ritual, but also found ourselves naturally maintaining its clutter-free status. The rule expanded to other areas: a reading corner in our living room that never hosts laundry waiting to be folded, a small meditation space in our bedroom that remains free from storage or decoration, and a designated spot for my daughter's art projects that doesn't spill into other areas. What makes this rule powerful is its ability to create boundaries in our spaces that support our values and priorities. When we declare an area sacred to a specific purpose, we're really saying that the activity that happens there is important enough to warrant its own dedicated space. This has helped me maintain focus and presence in different activities throughout my day, whether it's sharing a meal with family, engaging in creative work, or simply finding a moment of peace. Number 2. The Touch Once Rule. One of the most transformative rules I've adopted in my minimalist journey is what I call the Touch Once Rule. This principle is beautifully simple. Handle items only once when dealing with daily tasks. When the mail comes in, instead of creating a pile to sort later, I immediately decide whether each piece needs action, filing, or recycling. This rule has revolutionized how I handle everyday items and tasks in my home. I used to be the queen of, "I'll deal with it later." Laundry would get cleaned, then sit in the basket waiting to be folded, then sit folded, waiting to be put away. Each step required me to mentally and physically re-engage with the same items multiple times. Now, when I do laundry, I complete the entire process in one go: wash, dry, fold, and put away. The mental freedom this creates is incredible. The same goes for dishes, paperwork, and even digital tasks like emails. The touch once rule isn't just about efficiency, it's about reducing the mental load that comes with having multiple unfinished tasks hanging over our heads. It's about closing loops in our daily lives that otherwise drain our mental energy. When I find myself setting something down for later, I pause and ask myself why I'm not dealing with it now. Usually, it takes less time to handle it immediately than it would to manage it multiple times. Number 3. The "Would I buy it again?" rule. This next rule comes from Greg McKeown's book, Essentialism, and it's fascinating because it taps into human psychology. When decluttering, ask yourself, if I didn't own this, how much would I pay to buy it right now? This question is powerful because of what psychologists call the endowment effect. We tend to value things more simply because we own them. McKeown describes a study where participants were given identical mugs, but one group was told the mugs were theirs to keep. When asked how much they'd pay for the mugs, the owners consistently valued them higher than the non-owners, despite them being identical items. This principle has helped me immensely when decluttering my home. That dress I bought on sale 3 years ago but never wore, if I saw it in a store today, I probably wouldn't even pick it up. That kitchen gadget I thought would revolutionize my cooking, if I had to buy it again, I wouldn't spend a dime on it. Number 4. The one in one out philosophy. This rule has been crucial in maintaining the balance in my home. For every new item that comes in, something must go out. It's simple but incredibly effective, especially in areas like my wardrobe and kitchen. I maintain a carefully curated 10-item wardrobe, and this rule helps me keep it intentional. When I consider bringing in a new piece of clothing, I immediately think about what it would replace. This creates a fascinating shift in perspective. Instead of mindlessly accumulating, you start viewing your possessions as a curated collection that evolves with purpose. The beauty of the one in one out rule reveals itself in multiple ways throughout daily life. At its core, this principle acts as a natural barrier against unconscious accumulation, preventing the slow creep of clutter that often happens without us realizing it. Every potential purchase becomes an opportunity for reflection, as we're forced to thoughtfully consider not just what we're bringing in, but what we're willing to let go of in its place. This creates a natural equilibrium in our homes, maintaining a constant, manageable volume of possessions that feels just right for our space and lifestyle. Perhaps most importantly, this rule gently nudges us toward regular evaluation of what we own, creating a dynamic relationship with our possessions where we're constantly assessing their value and relevance in our lives. Through this ongoing process of mindful exchange, our homes become more intentional spaces that truly reflect our current needs and values. Number 5. The 5-minute reset rule. This rule has been absolutely revolutionary in my home. If you can't tidy up a room in 5 minutes or less when it's at its messiest, you have too much stuff. Period. I first learned about this concept from The Minimal Mom, and it completely changed my perspective on organization. Think about it. How many times have you avoided cleaning because it felt like such a massive undertaking? That was me, especially with our bedroom. Let me paint you a picture of what our bedroom used to look like. As a co-sleeping family, our bedroom wasn't just a bedroom. It was also partly a nursery, partly a closet explosion, and partly a toy room. Every night, I'd try to sneak out after putting my daughter to sleep, only to step on a stray toy or trip over discarded clothes. The thought of cleaning it all up felt overwhelming, especially with a young child who needed constant attention. But here's where the magic happened. Once we seriously decluttered, that same room, even after my toddler's most impressive tornado-like play session, could be reset to pristine condition in under 5 minutes. We're talking about making the bed, putting away toys, and ensuring clothes are in their proper places. The effectiveness of this 5-minute reset rule lies in its practicality and psychological impact. First and foremost, it forces you to be brutally honest about how much stuff you can realistically manage in your daily life. When you're faced with the concrete constraint of a 5-minute cleanup, it becomes crystal clear which items are essential and which are just creating unnecessary work. This time limit makes daily cleanup feel remarkably achievable rather than overwhelming. You're not facing an endless organizing session, just a quick reset that you know you can complete. I've found this especially valuable as a parent, as the system remains sustainable even with young children in the house. Instead of spending hours organizing and reorganizing, you're maintaining order through quick, regular resets that fit naturally into your day. This approach has transformed my relationship with cleaning from a dreaded, time-consuming chore into a simple, manageable habit that keeps our home functioning smoothly. Number 6. The no single-use items rule. This rule has been a game-changer in simplifying my life. Avoid items that serve only one specific purpose. This applies across all areas of life, but it's especially powerful in the kitchen and wardrobe. Think about all those specialized kitchen gadgets: the avocado slicer, the egg separator, the banana holder. While they might seem clever in the store, they often end up as drawer clutter. Instead, I've learned to appreciate multi-purpose tools that can handle various tasks efficiently. The same goes for clothing. Those special occasion pieces that require specific undergarments or can only be worn in very particular circumstances, they usually end up gathering dust while taking up valuable space. I've found that versatile pieces that can be styled multiple ways bring much more value to my life. Number 7. The season-appropriate rule. This might be my favorite rule because it touches on something deeper than just physical clutter. If it's not for your current season of life, there isn't a reason to keep it. This rule isn't just about seasonal clothing. It's about releasing things that represent past versions of ourselves or fantasy futures we've imagined. As we journey through life, we often hold on to remnants of different chapters, clothes from a different size or lifestyle that no longer serves us, books from career paths we've since diverged from, or hobby equipment from interests we've outgrown. Parents might find themselves emotionally attached to baby items long after their children have grown, while others might keep exercise equipment from well-intentioned but unrealistic fitness plans. These items become more than just physical objects. They transform into anchors to our past or bridges to futures we've imagined but may never materialize. By recognizing and releasing these items, we're not just clearing physical space, we're creating emotional room to fully embrace our present reality and current aspirations. It's about acknowledging that holding on to these physical reminders of past seasons or unrealized dreams can actually prevent us from fully stepping into who we are today. What makes this rule powerful is that it gives us permission to live in the present. When we hold on to items from past seasons or imagined future seasons, we're essentially stealing joy and space from our current season of life. Number 8. The 90-90 rule. This practical rule states that if you haven't used something in the past 90 days and won't use it in the next 90 days, it's time to let it go. I've actually adapted this to what I call my year rule. If I haven't used something through all 4 seasons, chances are I don't need it. This rule has been particularly eye-opening when applied across various categories of items in our homes. I've found it especially revealing when examining seasonal decorations that spend most of the year in storage, taking up valuable space for just a few weeks of use. It's helped me reassess my clothing collection, identifying pieces that hang unworn season after season, despite my continuous belief that, someday, I'll wear them again. The rule has transformed my approach to kitchen appliances, showing me which ones truly earn their counter space through regular use versus those that seemed promising but rarely see the light of day. My bookshelves have undergone a similar transformation, with books and magazines being evaluated not just for their content, but for their actual likelihood of being referenced or reread in the coming year. Even hobby supplies, often accumulated with the best of intentions, have been subjected to this honest assessment of their real value in my current life. Through this lens, I've discovered that many items I've kept just in case are actually just weighing down my space and my mind without contributing meaningful value to my daily life. The beauty of this rule is that it accounts for seasonal use while still maintaining a reasonable time frame for evaluation. It's especially helpful for those items we keep just in case. If a whole year has passed and that case never arrived, it probably never will. Number 9. Stop being a storage facility. This rule has been transformative not just for my physical space, but for my mental well-being too. Stop storing things for other people's values, preferences, or expectations. This rule applies to a wide spectrum of clutter that accumulates in our lives, often driven by external pressures rather than personal choice. Many of us struggle with guilt clutter, those well-intentioned gifts we feel morally obligated to keep, despite them not serving any real purpose in our lives. Family heirlooms present a particularly challenging category as we grapple with preserving items that, while meaningful to our ancestors, may not align with our own values or lifestyle choices. Social pressure plays a significant role too, pushing us to maintain possessions that reflect others' expectations rather than our authentic preferences. The influence of modern marketing and social media can't be ignored either, as we find ourselves surrounded by things we've purchased solely because of influencer recommendations or trending must haves. Even in our digital spaces, we often maintain apps and content not because they add value to our lives, but because we feel compelled to stay connected to what everyone else is doing. This accumulation of externally motivated possessions gradually transforms our homes into storage facilities for other people's values rather than sanctuaries that reflect our own. I recently applied this rule to my digital life by removing social media apps like Instagram and TikTok. While they weren't taking up physical space, they were occupying valuable mental real estate with constant information, advertisements, and social pressure. Number 10. The joy to maintenance ratio rule. The final rule I've embraced is what I call the joy to maintenance ratio rule. This principle asks a simple question: does the joy or value this item brings to my life outweigh the time and energy required to maintain it? This rule has been particularly enlightening when applied to everything from houseplants to hobby equipment to social commitments. I love the idea of having a house full of thriving plants, but I discovered that maintaining more than a few carefully chosen specimens actually decreased my enjoyment of them. The same applied to my craft supplies. Having fewer, high-quality items that I regularly use brings me more joy than maintaining an extensive collection that mostly gathers dust. This rule has helped me make better decisions about what I bring into my life and what I choose to keep. This principle extends beyond physical items to activities and commitments as well. I evaluate our family's extracurricular activities through this lens. Does the joy my child gets from this activity outweigh the stress of managing the schedule, equipment, and commitments it requires? Sometimes the answer is yes, and that makes the maintenance worthwhile. Other times we realize we're maintaining something out of habit or obligation rather than genuine enjoyment. If you're feeling overwhelmed by where to start, I recommend choosing just one of these rules that resonates most with you. Start applying it in one area of your home or life, and watch how the benefits naturally encourage you to expand its application. The journey to minimalism isn't about perfection, it's about progress. Each item you thoughtfully remove, each intentional decision you make about what to bring into your space, is a step toward a more peaceful and joy-filled life. What rule resonates most with you? How might implementing it create more space for joy in your life? I'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Remember, the goal isn't to create a picture-perfect minimalist home. It's to create a space that supports the life you want to live. Start small, be patient with yourself, and watch how these simple rules can transform your space and your life.